Hello guys, let's go with this video to bring you our preview number 2 of version 7.0 of RadCORE. In the first video I already anticipated most of the new visuals that RadCORE is bringing. Let's just take a look, let's say, of some details that we'll be presenting. So a very simple detail, it was an example of a dashboard with background, but now with preview number 2 we are bringing a very interesting feature, which is the possibility for you to configure the scroll bars. Both in project time and in execution time. Okay, so, for example, I have a background here, right, which is an image. Okay, so let's put it here in mobile mode so we can present our scroll bar. Okay, so you'll see here that our scroll bar is transparent. So this is a new feature that's coming in 7.0 here in preview number 2. Okay, so this is a feature where you'll be able to set a transparent scroll bar when in a situation like this, which I have a background in case it's an image. It's not a defined color, and we're going to be able to set our scrotum in various ways dynamically. So an example, I've got here my menu and I'm in a dark theme. Okay, so for example, if I take here my mega demo, for example, I'm going to open up here the menus. You'll see now that my scroll bar it's white. Okay, I'm confused. According to my menu, okay, it would be an equivalent to transparency, but here it's to give more layout possibilities. Okay, so what is it? This is, we're going to be able to define such a I'm going to make a change of our theme so-and-so, I'm going to define another theme here, I'm going to restart the project here just so that the configuration is complete, and then I'm going to once again activate. You'll already see here that our scroll bar in this case here it's not transparent, it got a background according to the color of the menu. Okay, so if you also have this need, okay, so this here people is a very interesting thing. I'm going to open here a new example, a pagination example that it was completely restyled, and we'll see here that we have our scroll bar with a white background, because I have it here in my pan here that's in our background here it's with a white tint, so at the code level within RadCORE. Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to bring it to you, so I'm going to bring here the screen that and then I'm going to grab here our attributes. The ground had to let the get you. So, as I was saying, we have a white background. Okay, and this example here is an example that we create this list view here at runtime. So, for example, I'm going to take here our coding, where we use the runtime creation, the components, so I create a scroll box here, and in the creation of the scroll box I already passed the attributes that I'm wanting to my scroll bar. So one of them here now that's a new attribute is going to be our scroll bar color. You're going to pass that attribute to your object and then it's going to set at runtime. So I'm setting here a white background and the hue a light gray, which is what the we're seeing it here as a result of the rendering here of our list view, okay? so here we have this news for us with version 7.0. So here we look at some more details that we are bringing here as a novelty. We are now bringing 2 timeline templates. That's right, so I have here a very basic timeline template, a top-down. Let's say, where it's going to render the icon according to the type. You imagine that you have your application and you want to put a time log of the updates, so I put it here as an example, like it was the log of the RadCORE itself, so I put here a update, like improvement update, right, or in English, not improvement, okay, I'm defining here what I'm improving, right, a highlight, what's being done so we're going to put here new features, right, bug fix, okay, so each one of these items, it's going to have its equivalent icon, okay, and all of this here, we're being created in runtime, it's all created in a team and everything is responsive, okay, so it's using the component creation library of RadCORE itself and the responsiveness of RadCORE. Okay, the other timeline template is the one I named Zigzag, okay, so it's going to bring it here centered just like ours, our topics, okay, it's from update, right, so it's going to start here, bringing it to the right, in the next item it's going to sort, it's going to be here in the if there is an additive, but then the little balloon comes to the left side, so it will be in this zigzag, the loon on the right side, the loon on the left side, the loon on the right side, it's bringing all the news, so all this here with responsiveness, where you go on mobile it takes it off right. The dash is right and on desktop it keeps there the dash indicating there the balloon. Okay, that's all here guys. I did it with a men table. Okay, so I set up a men table. Okay, you'll have access to this information in the update. Okay, and this men table our timeline loads the main table and sets up at runtime our layout here of timeline beauty. Let's take a look here at more news. A separation, an improvement that I brought was in the examples of RadCORE. For example, we had before examples of collapse but I hadn't put a practical example of an agreement. Okay, so we in version 7.0 you will have access to it. There is no a specific example of creating a collapse. Okay, this example even I put it with icon change and color change like that, so I left here the default that is black that I put to green, okay, and I bring an example of an agreement, this example, he even. It's there within the customer register, okay, but how to make something more practical and accessible to everyone, okay, we're leaving the example here, now ready, so I have here, 3 blocks, okay, the first one, right, it's already started, it's open and the other 2 are closed, okay, so the accordion wants that. How does it work? I close it, it's so and go this one, open, here's what I closed, the 3, okay, I'm going to open this one, so it closes the low side, I'm going to open this one, oh, it's going to close the top side like this and so on, okay, so that's the accord, right, how it's going to work, right, during the rendering of the project, reminding a lot of people that this here doesn't use absolutely anything from HTML, okay, so we're taking our examples, like you you're always going to have it, you have access to these examples, okay, our agreement is nothing more than native components of the NIGI, okay, and we're employing the resources of RadCORE, okay, so the RadCORE for him to create this collapse, right, and this accordion, he just needs. Okay, you're going to have a component like this and this component, okay, you're going to define it as your collapse, okay, so I'm going to pass an attribute indicating what it is that I want here, I classified it in all kinds of ways, right, because as I explained I put here with icon swap, the color of the icons, so I left it well characterized, but you can also deal with it in simpler ways. You just have the collapse, the block you want to collapse and your offset, it will already assemble your collapse automatically, so then. This one is another example that we're bringing such and such is within version 7.0, and then I demonstrate such and such in addition to the features we are seeing here. I demonstrate the possibility of you collapsing both by the icon that you render, and you can also collapse by the icon itself. Label such is sorry that I didn't put the information here, I left here a separate button so you can collapse. I can define by label OK, just here I defined it by a button OK, so I can do the toggle OK, that's what it is. Very used, right, in web templates, OK, I can do the toggle, I can send a close, I can just send an open, OK, and it's all this dynamically at runtime. I can program my collapse, I can give actions to my collapse during the execution of. According to your layout needs, OK? So this one was another example that we're bringing, OK, of models within RadCORE 7. The input add-on we saw, right, in the previous preview, OK, we're just going to give this review here, which is a super resource, OK, of selecting dates and times, very differentiated, right, that we're bringing there for the new version of RadCORE, selection of colors, OK? So this one is going to be really cool just so we can give it a reminder, OK? But we're going to have more news, OK? So I'm going to have it here in our BS pills, OK? We demonstrated it in preview number 1, OK? The retabs, where I can now render here, OK? And it gives that effect, right? From the dash and the fade, OK? But now we're going to be bringing in the arctab slide as well, so I can set up a page control. Let's always remember this detail. Let me pull in the demo. Let's always remember that our arctab slide is nothing more than a native page control of UniGUI itself, so we have here 3. Page controls, you're going to mount your page control inside your IDE like you've always used, and you're just going to pass a new attribute to RadCORE, where I'm going to say I want to create an arctab slide with my PG sample slide drop, which is the name of my page control. I reference the name of the page control that is here on the screen, and I say here what is going to be the transition of it. Okay, so I want here the transition drop so, and my other template of tab slide, I'm going to have my transition slide like that, but the same configuration. Okay, so this from here, guys, renders your page control this way. Here it's going to create 2 arrows for you. It's going to take the title of each page and it's going to highlight it here in the center, and then you'll be able to do the slide like the ones on your page. I tell it in a slide way, he will bring it here. I left it here as an example, as if in the presentation of several graphs. Okay, you will let your imagination run wild as you best, right? Prefer to display, okay, your RC, tab, slide, okay, and the other example that is the drop, right, where it's going to fall, right, from top to bottom, okay, so you're going to have these 2 ways of rendering. By the way, we now have 5 different layouts of page controls that can be rendered, in addition to the conventional native page control that you can also create these settings that you are seeing here. So we've got several more ways for you to bring a different layout to your page controls. So here's another example that's coming in the next version, okay? Well, in our panels demo, there was only one improvement here in the matter of creating our panels at runtime, where I applied our horizontal lap scrollbar feature. This is another feature that RadCORE allows you to do, where you can leave only one bar enabled in. Runtime, I can set which bar I want. I can even hide my scroll sidebar and leave it in mobile, just so it can be moved with the gestures, okay? Well, but this demo here, in addition to this detail that we added, we also brought here the novelty for the anchor attribute, okay? So our previous anchoring, it worked to simulate the all client, which we try, sometimes, not to make use of all client within the UniGUI applications, using the client alignment, the default, the NGI itself, since RadCORE does not use the server alignment. So, here we go, the anchor is now going to allow you to set margins. For example, here I've defined an anchor with a margin at the top, a margin on the left, a margin on the right, and a margin at the bottom, and here I've defined a global anchor, with a global margin at the bottom. Around my parent component here, I wanted to demonstrate an even more different shape, where I can leave a larger offset at the top, kind of to create a title bar. Okay, so here I'm not using, right, a block, there, a title component for. Slash and another component for the body, right, of my card, for example. Okay, so I'm just using two components, they are, so what are we going to have here? Let's take it here, one more time, here, a project, let me pull it over here, and then. In design time, what we've got is this here, so I've got two panels here, okay. And then each one I'm going to define how I want my anchor, so here is my anchor of T10, that is, I want an offset at the top of 10 pixels, okay, the bottom ones that we just saw rendered, they're going to have a wider definition, okay, so at the top I want 30 pixels and on the sides I want 5 pixels on the other edges, right, 5 pixels, beauty, so this here is also going to bring a lot, it's a lot of layout options within this universe, okay, that's what RadCORE brings to us, beauty, let's go. For the next good folks, and it's also in version 7, we're bringing one more example here of general use in all sorts of ways, such as the no borders feature that responsive blocks contemplate. So there was a huge rebuilding in the RadCORE responsiveness system, because it had to adapt to the new dynamic column system, to the offset calls, which we define the offset of the blocks. So there was a huge rebuilding. So, there were reports of bugs, of problems with the use of no borders in previous versions of RadCORE. So, I decided to add this example using calls debug itself, so you can see how this whole no border option works. So we're going to have 3 blocks here at the top, a block of 5, one of 2 and one of 5 totaling the 12, and they're going to have here, if we analyze the hint here, this one doesn't have the use of no borders, this one doesn't have the use of no borders and this one doesn't. There's use of no borders, so they're going to be the reference for the others here below. Okay, so I'm going to grab here the next one here. There's no borders, so it's the same way as the top block, the same width, 617 pixels. It's already my next block. You can see in the hint there, what's being presented. He has it on the border left, on the border right, okay, and then you can see compared to the top block that he on the border left, he won the border here, since he asked him not to have it. So it enlarges, right, the extension of my block and joins it with my previous block, the same shape is the top one with the bottom one, which doesn't have one on the border right, so it also zooms in and ends up joining with my next block, so my block that had 234 pixels, this one now has 274, 40, more than 80 pixels more, okay, and then we continue with the other examples. You'll see that this one, it's nailed to the left, so and so, it's nailed here to the left, because look at the Hint it's on the left so it stays in the same dimension here on the same limit as the previous blocks, but it zoomed 20 pixels to the side and nailed it right with our little corner here, so the next one doesn't have it on the border and the last one. It has one on the border right, inverted, so it's going through here to the limit of the form. You'll notice that it's here, my cut, but it's because of our scroll bar, so and so, but the limit of our form here, it's up here, behind ours. Scroll bar OK, and then you'll see all the other examples in the border on the border right with normal and the on the border left, so you'll see that I tried to explore several examples of use in the border. This one is using in the border all, okay? So there are plenty of examples demonstrating how the use of the border works in the beauty practice. Well guys, in the next version, at the request of a user, I decided to add, within the RadCORE demo structure, an example of how you can do the integration together with TalkTo. TalkTo is a messaging service, where you register, you receive an access link. And you can leave your website, your app integrated with that service here. I don't want to go into the details of how this works, etc. That is not the purpose. Our goal was just to really offer the way to do this integration within the RadCORE code, okay? So here I'm using my passkey, okay? Inside the RadCORE code will be the call triggering coding, okay? From TalkTool, and then you just going to put your passkey, okay? But here it's just showing that you're active, okay? And we can do the whole process of registering, etc., sending messages, okay? And then you can create your own integration, explore this service here, okay? A big new feature that's coming now, folks, is the ability for you to customize the number of virtual columns you want to use. What do I want to talk about with that? We've all followed RadCORE, which RadCORE simulates the 12-column system that's used by Bootstrap. I don't use Bootstrap, we have everything here native. We don't have responsiveness using HTML and CSS, responsiveness is from the radio code itself. So now we're going to have this big advantage. So I'm going to have here our pattern, a sequence of 4 blocks forming the 12 columns. So if I have 4 blocks, I know I have a block of 3, 3, 3, 3. 3 by 4 I have 12 columns. But now, folks, you'll be able to customize how many columns you want to have in your own grid system. So I can have multiple lines within a layout of an application and I can define what I want. So, for example, down here I've defined a virtual grid sequence with 16 columns. So I'm going to have here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 blocks, each block with 2 columns totaling 16. And just below I have a system with 20 columns, and then with that the 20 here I wanted to demonstrate, even at the request of a user who brought this request to us, he needed in his layout to have an odd number of columns, so he needed a layout. Where he wanted to present 5 columns in the layout that he wanted to show to his client, etc. And normally the grid system doesn't allow me to work with odd columns, because it's divisible only by even numbers. I can't divide 12 by 5, I'd have to create 2 of 5 and 1 of 2, or 2 of 6, so it can't be assembled. Here I could have 3, it would be 3 out of 4 columns, because it has an odd sequence, but it needed 5. So, when you have this need, you just have to take a sequence of a total of columns that is divisible by the number of columns you want to present, right? So, since he wanted to present 5, I expanded my grid system to 20 columns, okay? And then I can create 5 columns with 4 blocks, each, totaling 20. That gets even more interesting with our new debug mode feature. I demonstrated the debug mode in the previous video, in preview number 1, but the debug mode has already gained more news for preview number 2, so our same example as previous, so we will see here that I have now presenting my bug chaos like me. I have here, precisely the chaos, 3, bar, 12, okay, so I have here, in my grid system, this one of my line, I have a system totaling with 12, so 3 of 12, 3 of 12, 3 of 12, 3, 16 of 12, already in my 16, 2 of 16, 2 of 16, up to our 8th block, totaling the 16 columns. Same thing for our 20 system. So it's got a 4 out of 20, 4 out of 20, it's totaling the 20 columns. So our calls debug is being essential in the creation of these new features, which I'm implementing for version 7.0, and for sure for you it will also make a lot of difference for you to understand this whole process of how it works. It's all very good, this is getting very interesting. Okay guys, so let's go ahead here with our examples. So let's go here to our complex layouts example. So our complex layout, we had put our login example, which has a centralization of this block while I'm on desktop, but on mobile. It literally centers the block, and when I'm on the desktop it leaves it linked there in the corner, okay? This is a really cool feature that you don't code anything at all, but we're bringing you more news now, so I'm going to have here our form sample. This here is another example of complex layouts where you'll see, for example here, this was a request for. A user from Argentina a while ago who asked us, he wanted an example, that he had his fields and the command buttons here on the right side, but he said, Flavio, it's like this, on mobile, I want this bar to go down, okay, I want this bar to go down, okay, I want this bar to go down. Stay underneath like a footer, okay, so we set up this layout, right, and with the attributes of the RadCORE itself and such, and then let's do this demo here, okay, so I have there, the block, okay, the block that was with this one, with this line, right, oh. It was here on the right in mobile, it fell down here, okay, and you will observe the others like so. The others it does almost the same thing, so this one is aligned to the left right my buttons, and he mobile comes down already this one here and starts. At the top, and when it goes to mobile it goes to the side, it's the same thing. Attention, this one I'm with it here at the top, and in mobile it comes to the side, okay, it comes to the side and hides the captions, so this is an example of the complexity that we can achieve is to achieve using the responsiveness features of RadCORE. That is, we are not programming anything at all, you don't have to create CSS classes for anything, you will simply use the attributes of RadCORE and it will do what it is. Showing it here for you. It creates all this freedom for you to be able to explore layouts in as many ways as possible and imaginable. So, let's go with our demo. Another example that we are bringing now is, in addition to the possibility of the columns that we have is at the grid level, I brought an example without using responsive blocks, so to show everyone how flexible the use of RadCORE is, so obviously it is very. It's better and more practical for you to work with responsive blocks, but I wanted to show that it's also possible to create an example, in this case, with 5 odd columns, and we're working on its responsiveness without using RC blocks. Okay, beauty. No problem? Well, let's see what else we have to do here. Well, in our user register, we have our permission block, right, which is created dynamically. Okay, it has, right, the example of the agreement that I mentioned at the beginning of the video. Okay, so our accordion, right, it opened one, it closed another one, so cute, but what we want that I brought to this layout in version 7.0 is for you to be able to collapse by the arrow or by the label itself, as I mentioned at the beginning. Okay, so hey, you are now going to be able to make use of the opening of hours. Block through the label. Okay, so you'll be able to facilitate the collapse. It keeps working. In fact, the accordion keeps working by the arrow. Okay, but you'll be able to make the opening through the label. Okay, so you don't have to move here to the right side. Okay, so it's a simple A. A simple modification, but that also turns out to be quite useful, right, for the day-to-day use of our application. Beauty. Well, another feature that is coming in RadCORE 7 concerns hours is lookups, such than in the previous version, in the example here from Cade. Purchases, for example, when you switched items on the grid, there wasn't an upgrade to the top items. And really that was a purpose. It wasn't in my interest to really do this update. But some users took advantage of this layout to create their own screens for order registration, service order, etc., and they wanted, right, this feature. Okay, so this here is in a way it's something simple, okay, but the lookup wasn't obeying this update when it changed down here. That's right, so with version 7.0 of RadCORE, the lookups will now have this update. According to the change in the information that is linked to it, there is another novelty that is coming in RadCORE 7.0. Okay guys, I hope I'm not forgetting anything else. Okay, but a lot of things are being brought to you. It's in this new version. Okay, so we're going to keep working. Okay, it's still there. There are some details that I still need to make corrections, make some small adjustments. Okay, and there are still some ideas that I want to see. If I bring it to all of you in version 7.0, or it will be for a next version. Okay, we have a lot of news. It's joining the two videos, right, that I'm presented to you. It's an excellent update that's coming to you. That's it, and I hope that all of you like the news and be able to work even better with the layouts of your applications. A big hug and see you soon.